Hi, I'm Sam. Thanks for showing an interest in my safety and performance on the field by participating in Rugby Smart. Your knowledge and what you do keeps me safe. Nowadays, you coaches are always telling us players to make sure we win the collision. So we try pretty hard to do that, and as a result, this is where nearly 6 out of every 10 rugby injuries occur. At least 58% of all game injuries are from the tackle or the collisions between defenders and ball carriers. It doesn't seem to matter whether I'm the ball carrier or the tackler either. I have just as much chance of being injured. So how can you coaches help to make me safer in this part of the game? With all this going on, I need to know some good technique so that I can look after myself. I certainly don't want to be on the receiving end of actions like these. The IRB has recently reinforced a ruling which essentially made it clear that tackles involving a player being lifted off the ground, tipped horizontally, and then either forced or dropped to the ground are illegal and constitute dangerous play. Referees are advised that for these types of tackle, they are to start at red card and work backwards. This type of action clearly has the potential for serious injury to occur and must be dealt with severely. Clearly, any tackle or attempted tackle above the line of the shoulders is potentially dangerous for the ball carrier. And even if the contact is initially below the line of the shoulders, if contact is made with the neck or head, the tackle is dangerous and therefore illegal and must be dealt with by the ref. And grabbing the ball carrier from behind by the collar is just as bad. Treat this the same as you would a high tackle, as it has just as much chance of causing injury.
There's no room for illegal play in our game, and it's important that the referee, the first step that he takes out on the field is to establish that for all the players. And that means setting standards nice and early at the first sight of illegal play, actually stepping in and saying, what I've just seen is not acceptable and something needs to be done. And obviously we have a toolbox available, whether that's a long arm penalty or a caution and a yellow card for a temporary suspension or a red card with a sending off offence. We can use any one of those degrees in order to communicate that what we've seen is unacceptable.
Let's look at one side first. If I'm the ball carrier, how can I avoid the collision? Clearly, my best option is to use my evasion skills, or dodging, to avoid contact completely. I won't get hurt if they can't catch me. Evasion usually involves quick, deceptive changes in direction and pace to dodge or flee from an opponent. When evading, the body usually shifts rapidly in a sideways direction, but the art of evasion also involves change of pace or at times deceptive footwork. The skill of evading requires moving the shoulders, head, eyes or other body parts to deceive or fake the opposition as a way of finding space, getting free, getting around your opponent or avoiding being tackled. The centre of gravity is low and close to the base of support. This is achieved by bending the knees for better balance. Evasion occurs as the body shifts rapidly to one side or one particular direction by using the powerful muscles in the legs. So, let's look at some key factors of evasion. Keep the ball in 2 hands. Stay on the balls of your feet. Commit the defender. Change pace and/or direction of movement. Position ball away from defender. Accelerate into the space. The sidestep and swerve are just two techniques, but all players should be encouraged to use natural flair and ability. Both the sidestep and swerve can be combined with a change of speed and a body feint. As a coach, it's your duty to instigate opportunities for players to work on their evasion techniques. That's your role as a coach, and even get your players to invent their own activities to improve these skills. They'll have loads of ideas, so you should use them. Sounds good to me. Plenty of good tips for me there. Clearly, my best option is to use my evasion skills to avoid contact completely. As the game evolves, especially around the tackle area, it's important that you guys are not only up with the play, but also making sure the safest tackle for both parties, attacker and defender, is also the most effective. Coaches are now encouraging more leg tackles so the second defender can contest the ball. So what makes an effective and safe tackle? And what should we do after the tackle?
The focus on the session is going to be about safe technique, but coincidentally, the safest way to tackle is also the most effective way. So if you want to win games of rugby with your team, then this is going to help you. Before we get into actually making the tackle, we're going to do a wee bit of work on the tackler getting in position to be effective in the tackle. It's a drill I call tracking or foot patterning. One of the big issues for the tackler is that the ball carrier is not going to be a sitting duck. So he's not just going to be standing there. He's going to be evasive, try and avoid being tackled, and then slip the tackler. One of the big problems for a tackler is that as the ball carrier does step away, that tacklers often get caught in a plant position. Okay, and as the tackler goes away, then this guy here is going to be ineffective because he's having to lunge to make the tackle. Not only is he ineffective, but he's dangerous in that he's probably going to have to tackle real low and might get a mouthful of boot. The second issue is if the tackler comes in with a really wide step and the ball carrier moves, then he's in a poor position to make the tackle again. So what we're after is foot patterning that allows us as a tackler to get in really close to the ball carrier. And if we can get our main tackling foot in nice and close, then we're going to be effective. The drill is simply this. We'll have a ball carrier there, a tackler here. We're going to work with the tackler having his arms in that position there. So we're going to avoid him actually reaching out to make the tackle. Okay, so by doing that, he's always going to keep his arms there. That means that as the ball carrier comes to him and steps, he's going to have to keep moving to get his feet in close because he can't put his arms out to make the tackle. Okay, once we're in that position there and he's in the tackle position, then I just want the tackler to use his feet to drive the ball carrier back, not using his arms to push him back. So if we just have a look at that. So we've just warmed up using what I call tracking drills, getting the feet into a position to be effective in the tackle. I just want to get a bit of feedback from the guys about how they found that. So the first question, boys, is I made you get your arms in close and keep them in close to your body. What did that do to you in that activity?
It really made you keep your feet moving, taking the player to where you wanted to take them.
And that's exactly what we're after, so that, you know, if we've got a ball carrier here and I've got my arms in here and I'm not allowed to push them out and he moves sideways, so you move sideways, I've got to keep my feet moving to actually make contact with him. Whereas if I was allowed to use my arms, I'd probably just make the contact like that, which would be ineffective as a tackle. So we're trying to get shoulder on. To do that, we need to get feet in close. So boys, what did making a step smaller do for you in the tackle?
It felt a lot better. Allowed me to get my feet in closer. I had a lot more balance and it was like better contact. You know, I was able to drive through. And, yeah.
You'll notice when we were doing our tracking activity that we were getting the player's head into a really safe position. So if we have the ball carrier coming in here and the tackler making a tackle on his right shoulder, we're trying to get the right foot in close to the ball carrier and right shoulder making the contact, head to the side of the player rather than in front of him. Okay, so not only is that safe, but that's the effective way to do it. Problem arises when this player here wants to make that right shoulder tackle, but the ball carrier doesn't allow him to because he steps back inside. So what we need to do is be able to be comfortable on either shoulder. And it's quite simply a matter of, with this player coming in, this player coming forward, he steps this way, it's just changing the foot and changing the shoulder. So there's nothing complicated about it, it's just being able to go from right shoulder, right foot to left shoulder, left foot. Now these boys have got, you'll see on the jerseys, they've got the great fern over the heart, brings hairs up on the back of your neck, Adidas on the other side. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna talk about getting Adidas on Adidas as a tackler and fern on fern. So if the player comes this way and steps that way to the right shoulder, it's Adidas hitting Adidas. If it steps the other way, it's fern hitting fern. It's a nice simple way for the boys to understand that we change. Okay, again, this is pre-tackle. We're looking at foot positioning and body positioning. Don't worry about the height of the tackle at the moment. We're just purely talking tracking and getting into position to then make the tackle. The tackle we're going to deal with is a low tackle. Like the way the game is refereed today and the law interpretations, there's a lot of risk associated with a high tackle. Firstly, the ire of the referee. You know, you can draw penalties from hits that are a bit high. Secondly, the high tackle tends to lead to a bit of a wrestle with the ball carrier, which then gives the ball carrier's team an opportunity to get support players there and improves their chances of ball retention. Whereas I think that the modern game today requires you to get the ball carrier on the ground as quickly as you can. So a low tackle is ideal for that, probably around the hip area and maybe sliding down into the legs area. But certainly getting them to the ground really quickly, that's your best way to maybe isolate the ball carrier and gives you the best opportunity to get a turnover. Now if we're teaching this to kids, for example, early in the season, what I like to do is make sure it's really safe and we're not getting injuries on hard ground or for guys that haven't been in contact for a while. So I like to start them on their knees. Just to demonstrate here, we've got a ball carrier. He'll be on his knee there. And so any player would feel in quite a safe position here doing this activity. I'm going to work on the ball carrier's going to step that way just for the sake of this activity. And I'm going to work on hitting him in this area here and making sure that my cheek is really tight against his cheek. So it's really important that you get a tight grip, that whilst you're punching with your shoulder through the impact, you're also wrapping with your arms and getting a nice tight bind between your cheek and his cheek there. The other thing we're going to work on in this activity is the tackler landing on his front. That way you hold all the cards. If you can land on your front, it means you can get up quickly. You're the player, the tackler's the player that the referee is ruling. He's watching you, so therefore you've got to play within the law, which means getting up and then making your next decision in that tackle area. If you're on the deck as a tackler, you're liable to be penalised and you have no material effect on the game. You can't really do anything. Okay, so the drill will be simply this: on our knees, ball carrier, defender, tackler, landing up on top and then just getting up. What I'm going to do now is ask these boys to bring the stuff that we've been working on, the skills that we've been developing, bring it into a tackle situation. So we've got an activity that we're going to go through here. I'm just going to add a couple more things in that I want to demonstrate because we still haven't made the tackle yet. And as I said before, we want it to be safe as well as highly effective. So when we're doing this drill, we're going to be looking for several things. We're going to be looking for small steps into the tackle so that we can get that leading foot in close to the ball carrier. We're going to be looking for face up. Okay, and I use the term looking over the specs, so that as we drop into the tackle, the face is up. We're able to sight our ball carrier so that if he moves sideways, we can move with him, and we're in a safe position rather than getting caught with the head down. And thirdly, we're going to look for the players to drop from the knees late. So rather than going to a tackle like this and risk being beaten or risk getting caught in a poor position, we're going to use our tracking to get into position nice and close to the ball carrier, then dip late, face up, punch with the shoulder, wrap with the arms, cheek to cheek, and just drive through the tackle. So if I use Hugh here as an example, as he's coming in, he's going to be running here, I'm going to be coming in, I get my foot close, dip late, and push Hugh to the side. Okay, we'll just do that again. Into the tackle, dip late, face up, punch with the shoulder, wrap with the arms, and keep the feet moving through the impact. We're now going to take all those parts and put it into the hole. So we're going to complete the tackle. In this case, the tackle's not completed until we're up on our feet again after hitting the deck. So here the tackler's going to make a low tackle, land on his front, get up quickly over top of the ball carrier, and then make a decision. As I said before, you can't expect the ball carrier to just be a sitting duck for you to knock over. They're going to try and step you, use their explosiveness, try and hit a weak side of the tackler. So it's really important when you're doing these activities that you're randomising them, that you allow the ball carrier to step either way and make it quite competitive so that he's trying to beat the tackler. That way you're really emphasising the need to be able to use either shoulder, and from a safety perspective you've got to be able to do that. If you're just a right-sided tackler, for example, that's okay if you're going to your right, but it means when you're coming to your left and you're having to tackle the ball carrier, you're going to get in a poor position with your head in front of him. So head to the side, face up, make sure that you're able to see where the ball carrier is going. One thing I'm interested in, and I'll ask these guys the question, what they focus on when they're making the tackle, because the tackler's trying to use his feet, do his magic. If you're watching those, you're going to get bamboozled. So what does the tackler look at?
I like to focus on the core area, so the area above the hips, the stomach region.
Why? Why is that so important?
Because where the core goes, there you go.
There you have it, coaches. That's a great explanation, where the core goes. So the stomach area is slightly above the hips. In this drill here, it's slightly above the Adidas stripes on the shorts. That's where this player's focus is, because where that area goes as a ball carrier is where he wants to be to make the tackle. And that'll make it not only safe, but highly effective.
I'm feeling more confident now. All I have to do is remember these key coaching points. Eyes always on the core, whether tackling around the ball or around the legs, and move forward into contact. Try to position myself slightly inside the ball carrier, inside shoulder. Always keep my face up, keep my feet alive, and position my leading foot close to the ball carrier. Drive with the legs, making firm contact with the shoulder, and make sure I keep my head to the side and keep driving. Punch my arms forward and wrap around the ball carrier. Continue power drive through to complete the tackle and try to end up on top of the ball carrier. Release and get to my feet as fast as possible before I can recover the ball.
Today we're going to look at the post tackle and, more importantly, what we need to be able to do to be successful at maintaining the ball and using good techniques to keep ourselves safe and injury free. So there'll be some little pointers at the end on the difficult areas where we are a little bit concerned about how we're shifting that guy that's over the ball. So I hope you enjoy the video and get some good coaching points out of it. Here we are, part one of our breakdown. We've posted the tackle, nice tackle's been made. Now we're looking to establish what comes next. Now we have a number of players obviously that will arrive at this breakdown, but what we're going to break down here and do is show you what happens with the first arrival player. So the first thing he needs to be doing is asking himself some questions. What have I got time and space to do? And in this case, we've got a defender well away from the ball. What have you got time and space to do?
Got time and space to get the pass away or take the ball and run.
Okay, now How do you know you have that time and space?
By analysing from the scrum.
Okay, so you've come from the scrum, and what are you looking for?
Just looking for threats near the ball.
Looking for threats. Now we have a lot of problems with our young players and even our All Blacks at times. We want to ball watch. We want to be looking where the ball is, but that's where the threats are. The ball will stay where it is. It won't go away. So we've got to teach our players to look for the threats. And in this case, we're talking about, as soon as we've come from the scrum, we're anticipating where the tackle is going to be made, who's going to dominate the tackle, and where do I need to be at that point. And where is the opposition going to be at that point also. So in this case, we've made a decision 6 metres out that I've got time and space to pass the ball. So do I need to come in square on the ball?
Not come in the angle so you can get that pass away.
Exactly, very good answer. Come from the angle and get the ball away. That also allows you to be able to pick it and run if you want to, or pick it and pop to another player. The second scenario